Hello and welcome to today's family worship. I am super excited for what we are going to talk about. You know, have you ever played the game Follow the Leader? It was one of my favorite games, and I always enjoyed it when the leader was someone who was, well, fun. But I also wanted to make sure it was someone I could trust, knowing that I was going to be doing what they were doing. Well, today we are going to be talking about what it means to follow Jesus, or in other words, be a disciple. So if you are fishing for answers of what it means to be a disciple, I think you're going to catch on to our story that you're about to hear. And we have a special guest, Bubba the fisherman, who is going to tell us all about today's Bible lesson. So let's tune in and hear what he has to say. Well, welcome to Bubba's Bobber and Reel Fishing Show, where we teach you how to cast it, catch it, and reel it in for a good time of fishing. And let me tell you, we got a good time of fishing ahead of us today. If you joined us last week, you will remember that we taught you how to catch a fish by using your own body as the bait, as Cousin Jimmy demonstrated. It was funny. Well, this week we are going to teach you another technique. Not using a regular fishing pole, but by using, that's right, a net. Now, I got myself a net here, and you can just go down to your local hardware store, sporting goods store, and get yourself a net. All right, and we're gonna go and just see what we can catch here today using this net. Now, there's a technique I like to call, it's called swishing and wishing. That's right, you just put that net in there and you just swish it around. There you go, just like that, swish. And while you're swishing, you just better be wishing. Oh, there it is. Oh, I got something in that net. Let me bring it in. Oh, let's see what it is. Never saw that one coming. Oh dear. All right, well let's put our net in there and do it again. We'll just kind of go swishing and wishing, swishing and wishing. This reminds me of a song I used to sing when I was a kid. It was called Swishing and Wishing. Oh, there it is. Oh, my goodness. Oh, let's see what we got here. Oh, it's a live one. Oh, no, it's a stinky one. Oh, man. What am I going to do with that? Well, maybe I'll catch the other pair. Let's see. Why don't we just give this one more shot? Well, just a swishing and wishing. Remember, a big part of this technique is that you're wishing. You're wishing and fishing. And, oh, there it goes. I'm wishing. I bring it in. Oh, man. We are just not having any luck today. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all this fishing and swishing and wishing does remind me of a story about someone who fished with a net. And this is actually one of the greatest fishing expeditions that I have ever heard of. You would not believe what happened. I would love to share this story with you. And it's not about the greatest fisherman, it's about the greatest fisher of man. Now, let me explain. You see, it starts on a beach by the Sea of Galilee, and a man who you probably have heard of, Jesus, was teaching and preaching to many people, also called a multitude. Well, this multitude of people had an attitude to get really close, and they kept creeping in and getting closer, and eventually Jesus found himself right up against the water. Well, he wanted to teach, but he had to give himself a little distance from the crowd. He looked back, and what do you think he saw but a young fella in a fishing boat cleaning his nets from a long nights of fishing. Unfortunately, as we'll find out, he didn't catch nothing. But Jesus said, "Hey there, young fella, do you mind if I jump in your boat? Row me out a little way so I can teach these people about God." Well, that young man looked up, and he knew who he was had in his boat. He said, "Why, certainly, sir." And he just rowed on out there, and Jesus continued to teach. Well, when Jesus was done teaching, he thought he would just give Peter a little favor for helping him out. He said, "Peter, take your net and go out into the deep water and throw it over for a catch." Now, I am a professional fisherman, okay? No self-respecting fisherman is gonna be going out in the middle of the day in the heat of the sun to go fishing. I did that once, and the only thing I caught was a really bad sunburn. Oh, I remember that one, and that is one thing I do not want to catch. Now, Peter knew that you never catch fish this way, but he also knew that Jesus had done some pretty spectacular things recently, so he decided to obey. He rowed on out to the middle of the lake where it was deep. He cast his nets over, and lo and behold, do you know what happened? He had so many fish coming in, he couldn't handle it. The boat started rocking, and it started to sink. Peter was waving his arms to his friends. He said, "James, John, get over here and help me." These two guys came over. There were so many fish that they caught. Oh, both boats were almost sinking. I can't believe it. Well, they were ready to party and celebrate when all of a sudden it occurred to Peter that somebody was in his boat that was no ordinary fisherman. No siree. Do you know what Peter did next? He got down and he bowed and he said, "Jesus, depart from me, for I am dirtier than a squirrel in a toilet." And that is a real thing, by the way, meaning that he knew his heart was dirty and he was a sinner. But Jesus said, "Peter, I want you to get up and follow me. I'm not going to make you a better fisherman, but if you follow me, you will become a fisher of men." That's right. Now, what did he mean by fisher of men? It meant that for Peter and his friends, instead of casting lures out to catch fish, they were going to be casting out the good news that Jesus came to save people from their sins if they would believe in him and follow him. As soon as Peter and his friends brought their boats on shore, you know what they did? They left their boats and fishing gear where it was, and they followed Jesus, because that is what a disciple is. That's right. A disciple is somebody who follows Jesus. Will you say that with me? A disciple is someone who follows Jesus. And so they followed Jesus. Now, a lot of people think that a disciple is somebody who goes to church every week or helps old ladies cross the road. Now, don't get me wrong. Those are good things. You should probably do them. But that's not being a disciple. A disciple is so much more. It's following Jesus and living like Jesus and acting like Jesus. And that's what Jesus called Peter to follow him. Boys and girls, Jesus is calling you to do the same thing, to follow him. Now, after telling you this story, I've got a few questions that I want you to think about and talk about. My first question for you is, well, do you think it was easy for Peter to follow Jesus' command the very first time? Go ahead and talk about it. Hey, Teddy, remember that time you caught that fish and it bit you right in the lip and your wife wouldn't kiss you for a month because she said your breath smelled like fish? Oh, hey there. Welcome back. I have another question for you. My question is this. Why do you think that Peter fell down at the feet of Jesus after he caught all those fish? Go ahead and talk about that. Oh, Teddy, remember that time that fish bit you and right? Teddy, I left my sunscreen in the car. I need you to jump into the water, swim back and get it for me. Yes, I know there's piranha in the water, but I don't care. You know how the missus gets when my head gets burnt redder than when Uncle Jimmy drank all that Tabasco sauce thinking it was cherry Coke. It was not a pretty sight. Oh, well, hello there again. I just want to say thank you for joining me and listening to this story. I hope you'll remember that a disciple is someone who follows Jesus, and Jesus is asking you to follow him. I have one last question for you before I head on off, and that is, what did it mean for Peter to follow Jesus? And what does it mean for you to be a follower of Jesus? Think about that and talk about that. Well, my name is Bubba, and I just want to say that I am sorry that we didn't catch any fish today, but you know, maybe one of these days we will catch a fish. But until then, thank you for watching Bubba's Bobber and Reel Fishing Show, where we teach you how to cast it, catch it, and reel it in. Have a great day. I hope you enjoyed Bubba's Bobbers and Reels Fishing Show. But more importantly, I hope that you will remember that a disciple is someone who follows Jesus, and Jesus is calling you to follow him. We have a fun game that we're going to play real quick right now, and it's called Fish Toss. What you're going to need is 6 cups, some water, and goldfish, if you got them, the kind that you eat. If you don't have goldfish, you can use maybe any cereal that you have on hand or crackers. It's okay, as long as it can fit inside a cup. So go ahead and grab your 6 cups and fill them about halfway with water. And then place them on a table as a triangle. Step maybe 5 or 6 feet away and take your goldfish, and now, you guessed it, toss the goldfish into the cups and pretend that the cups are the net and see how many fish you can get in the net. Go ahead and work together as a family to see how many you can get combined, or maybe have a little contest to see who can get the most fish in the net in a certain amount of time. However you do it, have fun, so go play. Now it's time to learn today's verse in a fishy way in a game called Gone Fishing. What you're going to need is a stick or a pole, string, some tape, and some index cards or paper. Today's verse is Luke chapter 6 verse 40, and this is what it says. A disciple is not above his teacher, but everyone, when he is fully trained, will be like his teacher. What you're going to do is take your index cards or paper and write 1 or 2 words on each piece of paper. Then you're going to take your stick and string, tie the string at one end of the stick, and then take some tape and have it double side, sticky side out, and put that at the other end of the string. Put all your cards on the floor, behind a chair or behind a table, and then go fishing. Put your line over the table or over the chair and see if you can catch an index card. Each time you are able to stick a card onto the fishing pole, pull it up and set the card on the table or on the floor next to you. Once you've caught them all, go ahead and put the verse back in order. So go ahead, have fun, and play the game. Today, you saw Jesus do something miraculous for Peter, and you saw Peter's reaction. He followed Jesus. Jesus is asking you to do the same thing that he asked Peter to do, to follow him and become a fisher of men. That's right. Jesus wants you to make the decision to follow him and to be like him and to share the good news of his love, that Jesus came into the world, died for our sins so that we could be saved again. And when you follow Jesus, you are a disciple. So remember, Jesus calls us to follow him. Have a great day, and thank you for joining us for this week's family worship.